we're gonna go in dark mode and go deep dive into the VMs and see what is gonna be installed, and what kind of tools you're gonna be seeing. It's important to say that in this hands-on session, we're gonna mastering observability with open source tools, and we're gonna send in metrics, logs, traces, and visualize it in Grafana and SigNoz at the same time. So yes, now that I will be showing you a quick overview here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 applications that we'll be having, as I mentioned. So one in Go, let's set this extra large. Almost set extra large. Oh. Go, Java, Nest.js is a JavaScript framework. Next.js, that is a front end. That this is like a React. So Next.js is from React. It's a serverless application. And Python. Oh. So actually, all these applications can be deployed in a cluster. So EKS cluster, and sending application metrics to a hotel collector. This hotel collector is gonna be in a VM that is handled by Amazon, where AEKS cluster is also. So yes, so actually we'll be using Amazon EKS and EC2 virtual machine to manage our applications and observability stack. So in EKS runs the containerized applications, and I will also show you how to containerize these applications with Dockerfile. So more further in the infrastructure, we'll be setting up one VM that is gonna handle Prometheus. Yes, and another one that is gonna handle SigNoz. This here, and another VM we're gonna be Grafana also. So this is gonna be an end-to-end monitoring. So yes, by combining AKS for microservices and ECA for scalable observability stack, we achieve high level, efficient, and resilient monitoring system. So now that we have a diagram of how is our infrastructure observability infrastructure and how all is communicated. So as I mentioned before, the application metrics are going to send it to our auto collector in a VM, and so auto collector will be sending data to Prometheus, SigNoz, and both of these are going to send metrics, logs, and traces to Grafana. That Grafana has tempo, Loki, and Mimir. So this is our LGTM stack. And so what I'm going to show you just for now. So after this, I'm gonna show you just um, how is communicated for the moment these three applications to SigNoz directly and Grafana. Like that, you can see a quick overview that what can we do with all these tools and how we can configure it, because we are gonna do it this all together. So setting up the VMs, setting up a new cluster, and installing these tools. So Grafana, SigNoz. I'm gonna also show you um, how um, how we deploy some applications to a Kubernetes cluster, so AK, AKS via CI/CD pipeline using GitHub's actions. So this is also an interesting part about the training. It's not so deep dive about, because it's more about instrumentation of our 5 applications that we'll be seeing more. So customize events, setting out more attributes to, yes, have more insights about what is happening inside our systems. So these applications are actually these three of them are in a microservice, and these two are gonna be in a monolithic. Okay, so let's go to the part of I showed you the what's inside each VM. So here, here I have so the SigNoz, what I told you before. Sorry, two, one, one. Mm, yes, sometimes are some typo. So yes, I have so all the components that SigNoz need, not these. These are just a DB that it's running for one of our applications in Docker. So we have the SigNoz frontend. SigNoz frontend it will be running in a port 3301. The most important part is the hotel collector. This hotel collector will be um, put it in the standalone, as I show you in the diagram here. But for now, each visualizing tool, like Grafana and SigNoz, has its own autocorrector for just this promotion video. So SigNoz also handle a alert manager, query service, and a DB that is ClickHouse. So we'll be also monitoring this ClickHouse DB via Grafana, because Grafana has some type of data sources and plugins, and one that it have and I have tested is ClickHouse. So it's interesting because, as I mentioned before, we want to have an end-to-end monitoring. So monitor all what is happening in all our system. And so yes, for this part and for the part of VM2 that you have Grafana. Oh, okay. Yes. So as you see, we are in EC2. Yeah. So yes, they here we have the auto LGTM stack by Grafana. This is also um, an open source solution for monitoring. So now we're gonna see where is each visualizing. Well, I don't have to recopy, but as you saw, this is my IP, and we have setting up Grafana. So we're gonna have tempo. We're gonna have some ClickHouse data source also connections. We are gonna see the metrics. We're gonna see the logs. Um, we're gonna see the metrics um, about auto collector. And now I'm gonna show you the SigNoz part. This is actually also one of our VMs. So I want to show you also in just to see that this is my IP. And here, so we have the SigNoz tool. So if I go and I filter for 5 minutes, we can easily set up alerts. We'll be seeing setting up alerts with Slackbot for this training, and how to detect anomalies. So if I have too many errors, so an alert will be pop up. So this part, so sorry if I start with the alert, but so yes, for this part is services. So when SigNoz is receiving data, so these are gonna the service are gonna appear here, are gonna display. So you can also just filter by time. So as I mentioned, for now we don't have data, but I will be showing after how it interacts. So we have a page that it's also a feature that is gonna check for traces. So it is where the traces are, and we can also filter by service name, by operation name, by method, by status code, by host, HTTP method, HTTP route, URL, trace ID. So yes, when we can easily search for a specific trace or type of trace in the so yes, these filters are easy to debugging. And then we have the logs. So logs, and so we can set also we will be setting up custom receivers, exporters, and it's just it have to be with logs. So we can get system logs, host logs, um, whatever we need. We just have to go to the documentation. The documentation in SigNoz is so good. Um, What else we have in SigNoz? We have also infra monitoring. We have dashboards. We'll be setting up dashboards. So here is gonna I'm gonna quick explain you how the C in CI and CD configuration is gonna be. So we'll be having a build job. So that just build your application. So and push it to a registry. In this case, um, to GHCR. And once these all these jobs are completed, that in that case the deploy job is triggered. And when this job is triggered, actually is going to happen a few steps that it's um yes, this set up the AWS code EKS cluster, sorry, set up the resources, and deploy the image. So the image of after all this goes successful, it's gonna run in pods. So one is for a backend, and we can see that it's already sending data to to see in this case to SigNoz, and um, it's also connecting to a database that it's also in one of our VMs. So yes, so yes, actually, I have just two applications that they are already deployed in this cluster, and they both of them are sending data. So if I show you where they are sending data, so it's to SigNoz because they are actually already instrumented, and this is the part that I'm going to show you after. So is the instrumentation code. So if I just test my applications, they're gonna be displayed here, as I mentioned before when I was just presenting SigNoz. So okay, this is one of the applications that are hosted already, and so yes, this is actually one of the applications that are already hosted already. It's a basic application that is just gonna authentify and send some data to SigNoz, and also I'm gonna turn no just I'm gonna also change the URL and send the data also to Grafana. Like that, you can see that we can when we configure our code and we instrument well properly, we can quickly turn visualize it in another kind of application. So we can quickly switch. Okay. Um, so now, okay, I'm just gonna send some data uh, quickly. Oh, sorry, I. This is good that it's an error because it's gonna catch it, and we can see how the error is. So yes, now I'm logging in. So first of all, he catch an error because my backend well was not set it up, but this is good because actually what we want to do detect some its errors. So like that we can see that our observability stack works. So here you see that the services are already displayed here because they catch some data that was ingested. So First for the front end. So here's the front end part. As you see here, 5 minutes. So he goes to the hot URL. So recommendation also endpoint that was before. And if we go to our backend, our backend has post traces, and we can see that we have some attributes. So host ID, the host name, HTTP, where it's hosted. In this case, it's just in my local, in my local. So the backend is in locally here. Oh, wait, so here is it running my backend, okay, and the front end. I'm requesting the backend from the deployed application because I didn't change the code yet in the application, the front-end application that is in Next.js, so it's like React actually. So I'm gonna to make it to show you how the CI and CD works. I'm gonna change the URL to the backend that is already also deployed. Okay, I just have to do the right connections. But I did this on purpose just to show you uh, how can this or is gonna change. So and yes, we are also gonna set some events. Okay, so if we go to the register endpoint, we can create events manually, so instrument event manually. So we can pop up here the username, for example. So here it's actually saying us that he is generating the DWT token that is used for authentify in the audit method. So yes, actually this part is really interested the tracer because it's all the journey of our request. So which other tracer that we just did before was the to the login, because actually before I show you the register, but this is the login that we just did before. Also login has events that they are manually instrumented by OpenTelemetry. So this, in this case, is looking up for the user. This is looking up for the user in the database. We can see also the request, the database request, kind of ESQL request that is making to the database. In this case, is Postgres. So yes, SigNoz is really interesting to for APM. So yes, I can see here where is my DB hosted, the external metrics that I told you that the backend is actually um, in the local host for the moment, but we're gonna change that now. So I'm just gonna um, trigger my CI/CD just committing the new URL, and we can monitor that. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna switch to Grafana to just to show you that instrumenting the code, we can quickly visualize it, in another kind of tool. Yes, And so what we are going to do now, it's like what I told you, to change the URL, the backend URL, and deploy and make the CI and CD work. So you can see the whole journey of what we're gonna see. So register. So yes, this is my backend API, actually what is in the cluster. So if I show you the cluster of what we have, so we have these two applications running since 2 days ago. So if my pipeline works, all it's gonna so the age is gonna change, and it's gonna be like recently deployed. Okay, and then we can see in our visualizing tools that the host has changed when I authentify again. So let's change the URL. So this is the front end code. So it's my Next.js application, and I'm going first one. So I also have to authorize the front end to the C for the course. So we will see in also the what course is, what also the type of protocol, the gRCP and HTTP, in which cases we are gonna use it. So if I go to the backend part, and if I see enable course, I have the API of my frontend. So if you remember what the frontend API is this one, okay? So here it is. Here it is just uh, a backend URL just to know that it's working, and you can see, okay, if I can see the time, I'm just hitting that just like get method. You can see that it's in my backend, and if we go and see the host, sorry, this is one month, 5 seconds, 5 minutes. Mm, and we see the get. So you see, same time, you're gonna see the host name is changing. Okay, before we have localhost when we authenticate. So that's why that's now we're gonna trigger our CI/CD by committing the the changes that we just recently did in our both codes. So let's go to the backend. We can hit status. So in this part, I already enabled the course, as you can see. So this pipeline has already triggered it, and this code is already deployed. But what we're going to deploy is the frontend part. So if I go to the frontend part, and I actually go to GitHub status, and I see a div of this code, you see that I just changed the URL to request the deployed backend that is deployed in the EKS cluster. So let's hit this pipeline just by committing our changes. If I tune up but this is v beam. No, sorry. So I need to spell core change but error just, and now we push this. We push this, and when this is pushed, the pipelines are gonna trigger. So if I go to front end, it's just updated now, as you see. I go to actions, and this is running. So the build is triggered. Now the image is building, and I'm just gonna pause the video just because it's like it takes like two and a half minutes to build, and then to deploy it's fast. But actually, yes, as you can see, also we're gonna learn some kubectl commands. So for example, if I want to get put kubectl get pods of my, yes, we just see that some commands of my kubectl. This is the backend, and this is the front end, as I show you before in canines. um, so this is running from 2 days, and when this is all finished, that this is also finished already, the time is going to change. Okay, so let's see. So now, great, we have the two pipelines that have worked, backend and front end. And you can see it in the cluster, as we saw before. So here, if I say so cube, we synchronize. You see that they are running like 2 minutes before, but because I retriggered the backend also, and you can see that this one is 40 minutes before. Okay, so what we did at the beginning of the session is that I request the backend that was in the local host, then I change the URL in the API that is now it's requesting the one that it's already hosted after the commit and the pipeline running. So now it hits to my URL, to my hosted URL, to my hosted bucket URL that is hosted in EKS. So now the interesting part is going back to SigNoz and see that attribute URL has changed. So I'm just telling just basic things because I'm not just make you discover all the all we're gonna all that we're gonna learn in the course. So yes, actually, what we want to see is the backend, so the authentication. So you see that after the authentication, um, we get a user. Okay, the user. So when you're signed in, you get some with the user information. But this UI will be improved. Will be doing more things, more advanced things. But I wanted to make it basic so we can go step by step. So this is in the post, so that we did 1 minute before, and this is changing. So remember, before was in other URL, so I can show you the commit URL. So before it was hidden to the local host, and now to the hosted. So actually what is interesting in pipelines is you can trigger it in the develop branch or main branch or in pull request. We're all going to see that also. And yeah, some best practices, because when I develop, I like to do good commits so we can understand what happening in all of all of the history of our application. So sorry for this parenthesis, but best practice are important. We have to stick to good practices. So that's yes, that's for SigNoz, and yes, this is also so actually the backend no interacts to the Postgres database and also interacts with an API built in Python that we will also see in the VM. Um, yes, where we will be setting up some more endpoints, and yes, to here I'm gonna show you some correlation. Okay, some correlation like just quickly. So from my backend part, built in Nest.js, I'm just gonna get a recommendation. Sorry, I have to take so yes, a recommendation that this is so sorry. I'm gonna get some recommendations from a Python API that it's just running for the moment in locally, but it's sending telemetry data to SigNoz also, and it's correlated with the backend. Okay, through the backend, I'm just getting into this API, but first I'm just get recommendation, and this was interacting to the local. Okay, this is locally with my Python API. So you see that it's responding because I just paused. And when we go to SigNoz, once again, we see that it's interacting with the API. So this is a recommendation. This is the when I say when I make make get recommendation. It's this URL that was requested. So when I get this request, this is all the journey that happened. There's all the packages that are triggered, and this triggers one of the functions that I have implemented in my backend. Um, so yes, I get the attributes, what kind of mood. So yeah, some informations, and there's that I trigger some functions, and then makes a post. Okay, so here it makes a post to the other service. So these two services are correlated together. As you can see, we're gonna also as I say, instrument a Python and IAPI, and yes, get some data that the user enter what the API have in return, catching some errors. So yes, this is the SigNoz part, and now I'm gonna switch the URL of SigNoz to the Grafana. So we can change the visualization. So all that I show you now, we're gonna see it in Grafana. Just not touching too much code that is already instrumented by OpenTelemetry. Well, so here I will be setting up the observability into Grafana. So three services. The Python API that is running just locally, and the front end and the back end that I will be changing the auto collector URL that is going to send this data to Grafana. Remember that at the beginning of the video, I told you that we're going to extract the auto collector to another VM so it can send by the same URL to both of these visualization tools. But for just for this video, I'm just using two different URL. Because it's setting the infrastructure is setting in a kind of way. So the basically we have to come back to one of my EC2 VM and get the URL of Grafana. Okay, as you can see, Grafana is running in VM2. We call it VM number 2, but it's just the VM that's running Grafana. And I'm gonna set this URL here. So this is the API. Sorry, no. So this is the API. So to copy well, copy properly, and here I'm gonna just send the data instead of SigNoz. In the same way, I have to go to my front-end part. So remember that this IP was from SigNoz, and this one is from Grafana. That is going to send it to places. This is the front end. Now I'm gonna just commit this change of the front end. So if I hit the git status, I see that in the hotel setup, I just change the URL. Okay. And if I just commit this hotel setup, I am going to change hotel. And as I set the trigger on the developer branch, my CI/CD, it's gonna be it's gonna be triggered here. So we're gonna wait that the image is revealed, and it's gonna redeploy it. So I can then interact with the application, and then I can see it in the. I'm gonna do the same thing in the backend. So I have also a tracer. It's the same for SigNoz. Oh, sorry. Copy the URL. Grafana, and paste it to the backend field. Well, same way, good practices, git status. I'm gonna add source because I know that I just changed trade source, and I'm gonna commit this. And I'm gonna say also for change hotel wallet to push. I'm also running the project in locally, okay? So okay, I push the front end. It's almost done. The pipeline is almost finished, and this is the backend that I just committed, so it's updated now. And I'm gonna see, yeah, and I'm gonna see that the pipeline also was triggered, and I also have to wait just that it's yes, all the pipelines are finished. But for the moment, I'm gonna just interact from the backend to the API from locally. So you're gonna see here, if I already did that before with our get recommendation. I'm getting a recommendation here. So I'm calling a Flask API. That is this API. So if I go to the Grafana, so the URL that I just changed, I'm gonna see I can go and explore some traces. So I just hit this recommendation endpoint. So using I'm the user. So the user went through this backend, and if we go and see, yes, as we can see here, we have the traces also as as we saw it in SigNoz. So here's actually just an interaction with the backend with the DB. You can see, but let's search for more traces. So here we can aggregate some metrics. Check out what kind of loads are sending. So this is the hotel collector portal. So yes, we'll be exploring and leverage more more about Grafana also, and creating also some dashboards and adding more connections. But yes, this is a quick overview. So let's go and see if all the pipelines are already done. So yes, this is weird. This is some just display. Yes. So backend is already already finished, and we are gonna interact with the UI once again with the application, and we're gonna see if it's sending the data to Grafana instead of SigNoz. Yes. Um, Once again, I post my login, and then I get they redirect me to another URL, because when the log is success, we go to our to our page, to our profile page. Let's picture this. So yes, we can see these our traces once again. Login. You remember the events in SigNoz. So also we can also see the events in Grafana just by instrumenting with OpenTelemetry. And yes, we will be step by step. So how we install each package for each language, programming language like Python, Go, Java. So if we need an SDK, what's the difference between an SDK and web provider? Um, when we use auto instrumentation or manually instrumentation. Um, so yes, join me if you want to go further, want to know more about code instrumentation with OpenTelemetry, and I will be happy to answer to your questions, and also know more about your journey as whatever you work in IT. So as we can see here, also the node graph of all our uh, of all the processes that are triggering when you request to the auth login endpoint. So yeah, really interesting. This is another interesting part of OpenTelemetry that it offers a demo project that has, so you just can clone it. So in your VM or in localhost, and just by docker compose or make file or make, you can run the project and see what has inside. So I'm gonna give you just a demo of what it has inside. It's a little bit big, but it's actually have Jagger. It has Grafana installed also. So here we have also where what can request in this project. Okay, so I actually cloned it in one of my. Yes, I actually cloned it here. So I already up the project. So here you can I do a Docker PS. You see how many um Docker image are running. Okay, we see the Docker compose file of this application, OpenTelemetry. We have all the service HTML, sorry. We have all the service that are helping us that OpenTelemetry serve to visualize metrics. So yes, there's a bunch of service that you have, and you can explore, and it's pretty interesting because they have, as as we see here, yeah, as we see here, Docker PS. No, yeah, Docker PS. They have like a, yes, microservice. So here you have the front end. The front end. Here you have recommendation. You have fraud detection. The image providing the account email service is a microservice that you can observe. And so as this is already running, I can show you this is the graph that they have inside this project. So in the Grafana, you can see a dependency map. You can see also some dashboards that they are already set it up. So here you can see some metrics. Actually, yes, as all the application performance monitoring tools have. So you can filter by the date, by time. Yes. So they also have a Jagger UI. So Jagger UI, you can go and explore some traces. So here there's account orders received. You can search for the tags, the process, so in which kind of OS is deployed. So what kind of application it is. So for example, this is a .NET. So it's instrumentated by the package of OpenTelemetry.NET instrumentation. You can see the reference. Well, this reference to another span actually. So if we click, it takes us to another kind of. So this is the shipping service. They have some logs. Yes, so you can explore too many things with this application to just get into OpenTelemetry. But what we're doing in our training, it's to manually instrumentate in 5 type of applications. So Go, Java, 2 JavaScript framework, and Python. So we'll be seeing which kind of package we using. So if we go to OpenTelemetry documentation, we can see that we can have a bunch of type of APIs and SDKs that we can use. So for example, for Python that as I mentioned, so for JavaScript, Go, Java. So where we seeing is A to Z, A to Z. So yes, actually here you can see how this application works. If I add to card, test, place order, you can see that these traces are sending. And if I go to my Jagger and I want to search more things, latency is over range, so the orders receive it. So as you see before, I was interacting with the orders service, and yes, you can have its own insight. So this in the business level, this is interesting data. So maybe in the mornings are less orders than there in the evening, for example. So that's why this kind of information are interested to monitor, and yes, maybe get some custom data that are important, like which kind of products are more ordered than others, for example. And this is always in the business level. So what else we can see in the demo of auto collector? The auto demo. Yes, in the demo you can also flag the configuration you got. So you can set some failures actually of product catalog. So if I go and I return to my page, so I activate one of the errors, and when I go and place order, I can't place the order by activating this off. When I oh, yes, this is my cart, and I go to place the order, my order is complete. So this is one of interesting things that this demo application, this demo project of OpenTelemetry has, that you can set up some errors, and then you can go and check in your visualization tools Grafana what is happening, like detect these errors here. But we are not gonna take time for that, but it's just to give you a quick overview about these features that OpenTelemetry offers, and it is good to learn.